Hi everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a really cute holder for your Take Your Pick tool. It does come in a little box, so you don't really need this, but if you wanted to maybe decorate this to give it to a friend or a downline team member, this is just a cute way to make another case. You could always also decorate your case that you have, but the other thing I'm going to do is for this one, I made one. It's kind of pretty much a replica of the box, so you could close it. But what I did was I put a DSP at this end where it is completely sealed, and then this end I left as a flap. But the other way you could do it as well, if you didn't want the closed flap, is we could just make it as a one end closed container. So this one, basically you're going to follow the exact directions that I'm going to show you to make the one with the flap. And then if you don't want the flap, I'm going to show you what you're going to do just to trim this part off. But it fits in there, that way you have everything together and you could close it. And then I decorated mine with a little bit of DSP just to make it a little bit prettier. And I used the new blueberry bushel paper because I had seen on a blog, and my goodness, I cannot remember his name. It was one of our guy stampers. It wasn't, oh my goodness. What I'll do is I will put the credit to his colors, because they had a really cool blog hop yesterday. If you guys don't follow, it's the One Stamp at a Time blog hop. So again, I will look for his name, but he made the most awesome card, and it was a blog hop for heroes, and he used blueberry bushel, and then he also used blueberry bushel ink, and I think it made such a cool card, and I really love this blueberry bushel, so that's why I decided to use that for this one. Even though it doesn't have any blueberry in it, it really coordinates really nicely. Very striking color combination. So the one I'm going to make today, I actually picked rich raspberry, so that would go with this color as well. So let me show you what we're going to do. It's very simple. Basically, it's just a lot of scoring and then trimming. Okay, so what we're going to do for this, let me just get my measurements here so I can see. So I have a full sheet of rich raspberry. So this is 8.5 by 11. So on the 11-inch side, we're going to score at 5/8. So we have 5/8. Oops, I just wrong. Yeah, turn this way. 5/8, 1.5. And I also modified it, so you could do this and trim a tiny bit off, but I just kind of stuck with the whole paper. And then we're going to score at 9.5, and apologize for my snotty nose and my cold. I picked up a cold somewhere. And then 10 3/8. Okay, so those are our score lines for the long side. Then we're going to turn it to the 8.5-inch side. And this basically uses this whole sheet. So you could trim it up if you needed to, but I just did it this way. That would be a little bit easier with not throwing stuff away, basically. So we're going to then go to 7/8. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7/8. 3 7/8. 4, 5, 6, 7 right here. 4 6/8, so 4 and 4, 5, 6/8, and 7 6/8, so 4, 5, 6/8. Okay, so this is going to be your template if you want to make it so you have the flaps at both ends. So this does have a flap, but I closed it, I sealed it, and then it has a flap at the other end. So if you wanted to make this one with both flaps, this is what your template is going to look like. And I have a picture that I took so you guys can see what it looks like when it's trimmed. But what we're going to do for this one is I'm going to show you how to make it, but then I'm going to cut the end off in case you wanted to make yours so it was open-ended. And this does fit in here really nicely as well. So we're going to make one that's going to have an open end. But I just wanted to show you that's where you would score it if you want one with all the flaps. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our paper snips and we're going to just do a little bit trimming. Actually, before we do that, let's do the bone folder. Getting ahead of myself. Never fails. When you're filming a video, either the phone rings, you start coughing, or your nose is running. So I am sorry. That's probably one of my most annoying things, is when people are sniffing their snot. Sorry about that. All right, so we have all of our folded areas, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our paper snips and we're going to trim up to the score line on almost all of these. So we're going to trim up to the score line here. Same on this one. And then the other thing you can do if you want, oh, I went a little too far on that one. The other thing you can do if you want is you could do your paper snips, or your, I should say, your trio punch, and you could round the corners as well. I'll show you how to do that. So this one, if you can tell, this is a bigger flap here. So this one that's got the little bit smaller, I'm going to go ahead and trim this end off because we don't need that. And you can also give this a little miter cut so you know which one is going to be your smaller flap. So same thing again, we're going to take this end off of here. And I'm going to show you what to do even though I'm going to cut one of these ends off. Okay, and then we're going to make a little miter flap here, just like that. And we're going to do the same thing again, just trim up to the score line. Oops. And I know, thank you guys for watching my video the other day that was on Facebook. It seems like it got possessed because all of a sudden it started fast forwarding. I have no idea how it did that because you all know I can't color that fast. So basically this is going to make our box. Okay, so these, we're going to trim this off, but these will be the ends that fold in. We're going to get rid of one of these. But since we're going to close the entire box, I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so first we're going to go ahead and trim this off. So we're going to trim off the end, and then we're going to give this just a little miter cut. These will be our flaps. Okay, we're going to do the same on this one. So trim off the end, little miter. Okay, and then we're going to do the same on this side. So trim off the end, little miter. Once more over here. Oops. Trim off the end, and then a little miter cut. Okay, so if you want to, you can take, we're going to take one of these off of each end. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So if you're going to do both flaps, you're going to take one off of each end. So I'm going to fold this down. I'm going to just do opposites just so it makes a little bit more sense. So I'm going to trim this off. And once you see the template that I have the picture of on my blog, this will make much more sense. Okay, so that's a little crooked. Let me just trim this just a hair better. Sometimes it's kind of hard to trim on the opposite side, which is probably why I went with the other side. Just so we have a nice edge. Okay, so we would cut one off on this side, and then you only need one to tuck into each side. So I'm going to cut this one off over here. Okay. All right, so this is what your finished template will look like if you want to make it so you have both ends that are able to close. Okay, so you can see that there. Now, if you would like at this time, this is when you could take your corner rounder, and what you do is you're going to take your corner rounder, which is right here, and you're going to just press this all the way into the end. I have this flap folded over. I'm going to press that into the square and punch, and then it will round your end really nicely. Same thing again, we're going to just fold all this up. We're going to stick this in. And, oops, well, that didn't go all the way. And then, oh my goodness, maybe I don't have my flaps lined up correctly. That's it. There we go. So we have our rounded ends. And then if you want to do it again on the other side, you'll just do the same thing. It's easier when you fold them all in. That way you can get all the way into the corner there. Okay, and that other one just wanted to make a fool of me. I'm going to fold this flap in, and the same thing again, you're going to push it all the way. Okay, so you have rounded ends. Okay, so this will basically close your box. Okay, just like that. And you would fold your flaps in if you want to keep it. Okay, so now what I said we're going to do is we're going to trim one of these ends off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off this end. So we're going to have one of them as an open-ended box. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this entire little section here. Grab my bigger scissor. So I'm going to try to cut this close as I can to that line. That way it's not anything hanging over. There we go. I'll get a little bit more over here. Okay, so now instead we're going to have ours where one end closes and then the other end is just open, so we can just slide our tool in and out. Okay, so you can kind of do it either way, just depending on what you want to do. Now, if you would like to decorate yours with DSP, what you're going to do is you're going to need to get a piece of, and I had this really pretty, this was the Share What You Do Designer Series paper stack. So I used this pattern earlier, which was really pretty. Where is that one? It's disappeared in here. Here it is. That one's beautiful. But you also could do leaves. There's lots of really pretty patterns in here. The flowers again. You could do these other little leaves. They have some pretty flowers on the other side. I really like the dots. I think that's super fun as well. But again, I'm going to just go for something a little bit contrasty. So I'm going to actually pick these flowers that have this really pretty, it's like almost like a holographic vellum look to it. So I'm going to decorate this rich raspberry box with that, just because I think it's nice to have something a little contrasty instead of matching. So for this, you're going to need a piece of DSP, and I'm going to adhere this before I put the box together, so that's why I didn't finish assembling it yet. So for this, we're going to need a piece, and that is going to measure 7 14/16 by 2 14/16. So we're going to go with the 2 first. So you have 2, and then we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 14/16. So 16/16 would be 3. So we're going to go 2 little dashes before that. And then we're going to trim, let me set this on the side, to 7 14/16. So we do have to pull our arm out for this. There we go, 7, and then same thing again, 2 dots, 2 dashes right before the 8. Okay, so that will fit right on top of here. And I think it's very pretty just against the contrast of the paper. And then if you wanted to, you could even make a little flap on the end here. It just depends on what you want to do. I'm going to just use just the one for this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and assemble this. We're going to put our box together, but I'm going to put the Designer Series paper. That would look really pretty as well. I'm going to put the DSP on first. So just want to remember, if this is going to be your part that's going to go in, this will probably, you'll want to be the top of your box, okay? So I'm going to put some snail on here. You could use Tombow. Whoops, just ran out of snail. You could use Tombow if you wanted to, if you were a little bit more worried about moving it around. If you have fast fuse, you could certainly still use fast fuse. I'm going to put a little bit down here at the bottom. You could use tear and tape, which we're going to use tear and tape for the big side of it. So I'm going to just set this on. Should fit on there almost exactly. Put that on there, okay? And then what we're going to do is I'm going to put some tear and tape onto my bigger flap, the flap that's going to close onto this. So I'll grab my tear and tape. And I'm going to make sure it gets all the way to the end. That way, from you putting your box open and closed, it doesn't get messed up. I'm going to put another piece down here at the bottom. Okay, and sorry about that, let me turn that off. So now what you can do is you're going to just tuck these flaps in. You could put some adhesive on this if you really wanted to, but it's a little bit difficult to get it to adhere to the bottom since the box is so long. So we're going to just go with this one. And in case you missed it, I just want to show you guys this. If you have either acrylic nails or maybe you have arthritis and you have a hard time getting the tear and tape to come off, this little spatula is amazing on the Take Your Pick tool. All you have to do is slide it right underneath, and it picks it right up for you. It's really, really simple. I don't really even have a lot of trouble with getting the tear and tape off, but this is really an awesome tool to have. And while I mention it, if you order $150 in my online store through the month of September, and there is a hostess code that you need to use, except if your order is that large, you will get a Take Your Pick tool free from me. This is only an offer through Rachthestamper. If you order $100, you will get a Simply Chamois for free. And also, I always give you guys PDFs just to make it a little bit more special. So all we're going to do is tuck that end in just like that. So it's a really snug box. It fits really nicely. So again, if you wanted to, you could put a teeny bit of, of course, I just used the rest of my snail. So I don't want to put the tear and tape on there because it was a little bit difficult to get it together. I'll put just a little bit of fast fuse on the end, just to kind of hold that closed. That way you would know it's just going to slide out from one end. So I'm going to put this in, put that on there, and just tap it just slightly. And then the other thing is, once you slide your tool in, you can actually press. So you're going to just slide this right in. You can press that a little bit so it will stay closed. So there you go. So this one just slides right out. So it doesn't have an end on it. Slides right out. You can put your tool in there, take this off, put this one in. You'll have everything handy. It does come with a refill when you get to Take Your Pick, but you can also get putty refills. So you can have one that's an open end, or if you like the other box better, you can have one that has double end closure. That way if you travel a lot, but it's a nice way to dress it up. And this is just a little bit of DSP. You could also add a nice sentiment to it as well. I will post all the measurements on my blog, so if you have any questions, all you have to do is go directly there, which is rachthestamper.com, and it will show you exactly all the measurements. And again, I'll have the template for the full one. If you don't want to use both flaps, all you have to do is just cut one end of those off. So I hope you guys find this helpful. If you have any questions, you can feel free to send me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. Be sure, if you haven't already, if you follow along, please, here on YouTube, all you have to do is hit the red subscribe button, and it will let you know when I put new video on. You can also find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at rachthestamper.com. And if you'd like to get any of these supplies and more, you can shop my online store 24/7, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.